Hello again everyone, and welcome to my full impressions video and comparison for you all today of Geshelli Labs' very own J2 DAC. And I will be comparing this DAC against my beloved Denefrips Ares2. Now the Ares2 is an R2R DAC, resistor ladder DAC, basically meaning resistors in parallel, or the J2 is basically a delta sigma digital to analog converter. And Geshelli Lab did send me the J2 with the upgraded DAC chip, the AKM 4499. So I do want to give them a big thank you for sending us the J2 on a loan lease agreement. So not only will we have a comparison in sound and performance subjectively, we're also going to compare the different features of both DACs. Because one thing that I love about this J2, y'all, besides having a custom painted steel casing from Mama Bear from Geshelli Lab, where she done an amazing job. I will give you all more of a close-up look. You can also get it with a wood casing as well. They have many different ones to choose from down below in the description box. I will upload the link so you can see it for yourself. And the DAC is pretty customizable. You can choose to have USB or choose not to have USB. You can choose to have the more high performance DAC chip or not to have it. And most importantly, my favorite, you can choose what op amp you want with the DAC. And yes, those op amps can be a little pricey, but they're right there in the output stage, you all. So this is really going to allow you to tailor the sound to what you like, giving you the best synergy of your hi-fi system. So before I compared, sound-wise, the J2 against the Ares2, one thing I want to do was find the best op amp that I possibly could get my hands on to sound the best in the J2. Now, when I done this, you all, I started off using my Sparco's SS3602. I'll put a picture up here of all my different op amps so you all can see. And with, just the single-ended output of the J2, you only need one of them. But if you use the Balance XLR, then yes, you will need two of the same exact kind. But yes, the SS3602 was sounding great with the J2. But then Carlos from Burson Audio sent me 4 of the new V7i Burson op amps. They now have a metal casing to them. I'm going to give you a better picture up here. And this is aluminum, you all. Not only does it add for shielding for any kind of radio frequencies or noise interference, but it also acts as a heat sink to keep that optimal temperature of the op amp so it can perform its best. So when I was going back and forth between the Burson V7i and the Sparco's SS3602, y'all, for the first time in 5 years, I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or blow a bunch of smoke up your all's ear hole. I refuse that. I will tell you like it is, the new V7i has a much lower noise floor, so micro details are more apparent. You get a little bit better resolution overall, and even the bass attack, or what I like to call bass dynamics, is much better with the V7i. It has a 7-layered PCB board inside of it. This is a highly advanced op amp from Burson Audio, and I think they got like 14-15 years, you all, in creating op amps, and they knocked this one completely out of the park. The way it sounds with the J2, and even my Burson Composer DAC, I'll give you a picture of that Burson DAC I have up here. This is a superior op amp. I would choose it all day, every day, twice a day over the SS3602 Sparco's. But I don't want to take, a lot away from the Sparco's, because this is still a very good op amp, y'all. Still a very good op amp. And I still use it because I have DACs that have, many different DACs that I can op amp roll. Now here is the older I think 6i op amp, Vivid as well. And people were asking me if it would fit in the J2. And no, you all, it doesn't fit. You'd have to take the cover off to actually use it. But I'm telling you, just save your money and go straight for the V7i, you all. It is a superior versus the Sparco's. It was a little bit more airy, had more sparkle to it. Again, lower noise, so those micro details were more apparent. Yes, the V7i is a winner. So that is what I used with the J2. I actually got 3 in it. So I started comparing it against the Denefrips Ares2 in sound and performance. And one of the first things that I noticed with this J2, y'all, is that there was a very high focus on clarity with the J2. I mean, this DAC has clarity for days, you all. It is very transparent sounding. It's very clean sounding. Now, my first impressions of the Denefrips Ares2 was not opposite of that, but on the different side of the teeter-totter. Meaning, the Denefrips Ares2 to me has this rich tonal character to it. So yes, it does have a little warmth. It is smooth sounding. Some people will say it has this liquidy overall sound to it. To me, it does have that kind of euphoric kind of sound. Now, what it lacks in details or clarity and resolution, even separation against the J2, for some people, it makes up when it comes to actual digital glare, brighter recordings, because the Ares2 does have a little bit of a softness to it. And the one thing that I do love about the Ares2, while the soundstage may not be as airy, it may not have as much sparkle, it does have better layering and better localization in the soundstage than the J2. That's not to say that the J2 is bad, it's just the Denefrips Ares2 does a little bit better job in that regard. And it has very good depth perception, giving you, that 3D holographic sound. Again, it is a little bit better than what the J2. But when it comes to like bass attack, dynamic range, yes, I would have to give the W to the J2. Big time on that aspect. I'm not saying the bass is weak on the Denefrips Ares2, but the bass is a little bit more articulate. The overall sound's a little bit snappy, a little bit faster. But the only caveat that can come with that, even though that's a performance gain, and the overall clarity is superior versus the Denefrips Ares2, what this Ares2 does so well, again, you all, is it does a great job when it comes to what I call digital glare. That hardness, that bite, that sharpness that can just be fatiguing with some music tracks. The Denefrips Ares2, yes, it is a little bit more forgiving. Again, I can hear a little bit deeper in the soundstage, but the J2 has just that little bit more sparkle, a little bit more airiness. It's a little bit bigger, but the Denefrips Ares2 is a little bit more, what I would say, congested soundstage. Maybe congested ain't the right words. It just has better layering and better localization. Like the soundstage ain't as big, but it's more 3D holographic sounding. Better depth perspective again. And going back and forth between these two different DACs, y'all, and I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat a bunch of shit up to you all. It's like almost different size of the teeter-totter. It's really what you want to go with. If you had a system that was a little bit too bright for you, a little bit fatiguing, maybe it's too hyper detailed, well, the Ares2 may be perfect for you. But say you want something with a little bit better clarity, a little bit better resolution overall, where you can hear, those micro details being more present, then yes, I would go with the J2. Now, subjectively, in my humble opinion, if I had to choose between these two different DACs, it would be so hard to do. Another great thing with the Ares2, before I forget, when it comes to vocals, I do not know what it is about this DAC. The mid-range of this DAC has some good flesh and body to it. Even though the bass with the Ares2 ain't as good as the J2, that mid-range does have like this kind of rich texture to it. And even in vocals, sound a little bit more lifelike to me, especially when it comes to the localization of the singer and the instruments. I'm more easily being able to place where that soundstage is. It's like I'm more surrounded by the instruments and singer than I am with the J2. It's like the J2 is precise, accurate, amazing clarity, where your Denefrips Ares2 is more smooth, relaxed, more forgiving on that digital glare. So, you would just have to pick your own poison, which one kind of sound that you like better. Now, me personally, I have loved my Ares2 for a very long time, y'all. I love this R2R DAC. And I know when it comes to measurements, that yes, the Geshelli J2 is going to blow the R2R DAC out of the water. Most people know that. I think the Geshelli J2 is like 120 dB signal to noise ratio for you all that like measurements. Now remember, measurements only tell you how accurate something is. It does not tell you what it sounds like. But if you made me pick, me myself, and you maybe be different, I would choose the Geshelli J2 over the Denefrips Ares2. I just love the detail retrieval. I can, with my triangle 40th, I can get almost that hyper detailed, very good sparkle. And yes, the Denefrips Ares2 does better on that digital glare. It kind of rounds that top frequencies off a little bit better. But again, the Geshelli J2 is more precise, more accurate. It is superior when it comes to overall clarity and detail refinement and resolution as far as that go. Now, but some people out there will prefer the Denefrips Ares2 over the Geshelli's 2. Now, the Ares2 has been out for a while now, and a lot of people love this R2R DAC. And a lot of people say it's because it has that overall kind of euphoric sound. And I will agree with that. It does kind of have this kind of tube kind of character to it. But when it comes to the mid-range, just real quick, back to the Ares2, this is where I think the DAC performs its best. A lot of people out there tell you that the mid-range is just so liquidy and smooth and creamy with little sparkles on top of your cake. But anyways, if I had to explain it to y'all in 3 words, what the mid-range sounds like with the Ares2, I would just simply say it has that full body mellowness to it, meaning it has that full body sound to it, but it's mellow at the same time. And when it comes to vocals, that's where this DAC really shines, in my humble opinion. When it comes to vocals, even when the male vocals or the female vocals are screaming, at the top of their lung, hitting those E notes like Lane Staley, one of my favorite from Alice in Chains, the Denefrips Ares2 does such a good job of those high, notes not sounding overly sibilant, having that hardness to it. I'm not going to say it's going to sound great all the time because it really comes down to that recording, but it does a really good job on those high notes, just rounding those sharp edges off just a little bit. And then when it comes to male vocals, when they're getting, deep down low, you can actually hear that their chest in their vocals. So yes, that is a big, huge thing with the Ares2 and me. I just think the vocals are awesome with this DAC. But that's not to say they're bad with the J2. Like, they're really accurate with the J2 as well. The reason why I chose the Geshelli J2 over the Denefrips Ares2 is because the J2 is like a surgical knife, y'all. Especially when it comes to that overall resolution, the J2 is absolutely fire. Now, while the J2 isn't as forgiving as the Ares2, when I'm sitting back, listening to some good recordings, like the female singer Grace Maya or even Susan Wong, when I'm sitting back listening to their female vocals, I can actually hear more clearly of when they take in a breath, when their lips are smacking. I can even more clearly hear the saliva on their lips compared to the Ares2. It's just basically with these DACs, it's going to come down to your taste, your hi-fi system, and you creating the best synergy that you possibly can. But I will tell you this, the Geshelli J2, it is an American company. It is run by all family members, all Americans, which is great. And I'll be honest with you all, I thought the J2 was going to sound like a $400 or $500 DAC. I did not know that this DAC was going to sound this good. I had no idea. I am impressed with it 100%. But now I want to compare the Ares2 to the J2 when it comes to features. And there will be pros and caveats on both sides. And those pros and caveats is also going to depend on what you like in the DAC. Now, neither one of these DACs have a preamp built inside, and they don't have Bluetooth built in as well. So now let's have a close-up look of them and compare those actual features. Okay, everyone, very quickly, I want to compare the features of the Geshelli J2 against the Denefrips Ares2. Now, there's going to be pros and caveats. It's just really going to depend on the person, but I want to go over this very quickly. First of all, neither one of these DACs come with a remote control. So if you want to change that input, you won't be able to. You'll have to get off your butt and actually change the input. Now, one of the caveats for some people out there, not everyone, with this Geshelli J2 is there's no display screen at all. So if you hook up your laptop, your computer, or even your cell phone, you won't be able to tell if you're playing 44.1, 48 kilohertz, or 88.2, or as Denefrips goes 1 times, 2 times, 4 times, 8 times. But you can still see that sample rate where you can't with the Geshelli. Me personally, that's really not a big deal. Now, when it comes to the inputs on the Denefrips, you can see it has where you can see what input you're in. With the Geshelli, we only got these lights right here for your input called status. So I got to hold it back because I done took the screws out to show you all the inside of both. But at the end of the video, as you can see, I'm going through my different inputs. And after you do this for a while, you will figure it out. I mean, it is actually pretty easy in my opinion. Now, another cool feature with the Denefrips Ares2 is we do have standby on the front, meaning you can turn it to standby mode or you can have it on. Where with the Geshelli, you just have your main power in the front. And another thing I do really like a lot about the Geshelli's Labs is you can get this custom paint job. You can get a steel casing or you can get a wood casing. With the Denefrips Ares2, you are stuck just with this metal box. And I want to give a big shout out to Mama Bear at Geshelli because she done an awesome job painting this DAC and customizing it for me to match my entertainment room and also my near field room. I love the looks of this DAC, y'all. I like it a whole lot. But you do see we have a coax digital input and a Toslink input on the front as well, which is really cool, especially when it comes to cable management. But one of the biggest, huge pros for me, you all, with this Geshelli Lab J2, and this is big, you all, is you can come over here and you can hold down this input button here. See it flash? That is the low output setting. I hit it again. That will be a medium output setting. I hit it again, that's going to be a high output setting, which is going to let me tailor the voltage output coming out of the RCAs or the XLRs to my preamp or integrated amp. Now, I wasn't going to mention this, but I'm going to mention it very quick. All my DACs, I do hook up my Samsung TV with the optical output. I just plug them into my DAC. Now, my Samsung TV, that Toslink output, you all, it is so weak that I always have to really dig in the volume to get any noise out of my speakers. But with the Geshelli J2, having where I can turn up that voltage output in the back, having 3 different levels, you all, that is pretty huge to me, because after I turned it up on high, I didn't have to sit there and crank the hell out of my volume to get some sound coming out. Another huge feature, big feature with the J2 is, yes, we can roll op amps. I did roll the SS3602, the Sparkos, an excellent, outstanding op amp, and I did use Burson's new V7i Pros that Carlos sent me from Burson Audio. I want to give Carlos a big thank you because that is my favorite op amp with the J2. But the Sparkos isn't too far behind. And I'm going to talk about some other op amps later on at the end of this video. So now let's turn both of the DACs around and look at the back. Oh, I almost forgot, y'all. For some people, will be a pro with the Denefrips Ares2. Now, they call this a NOS DAC, meaning no oversampling. Meaning you can go to the mute mode and you can come over here and hit optical. And I can turn it off, or I can hit it again and turn it on. And that's either to have no oversampling mode, or you can have upsampling mode. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, it's old news. This Denefrips Ares2 is always upsampling. So I actually leave it in upsampling mode, but it also has, you can hit mute, then you can come all the way over to optical 1 and you can switch between slow roll off and fast roll off, which I think that is pretty cool feature. There is no filters with the Geshelli J2, you know, the slow roll off or the fast roll off, but you can roll op amps, which I think is a bigger pro in my opinion. Now let's turn them to the back of the DACs. Okay, here we are at the back of both DACs. As you can see, we got fully balanced XLR on the Denefrips and on the J2 as well. And the quality of these male XLRs, they are about the same on both of these DACs. Let me get this in a little bit better for you all. Okay, that's a little bit better, y'all. But when we go to the single-ended output, look how nice these RCAs are with the Denefrips Ares2. They are nicer than the one on the Geshelli J2. And now that is the same as with your coax inputs as well. Look how nice these coax inputs are compared to the Geshelli J2, but we do have them on the front and back. Now the toss links are about the same. Then we go down here. Here's the USB for the Denefrips. But what I really love about the USB on the Geshelli J2 is if you don't want it, you don't have to get it, and you can save like $50 US. Now, I'm glad they sent it to me because I do use my laptop, I do use my cell phone, I do use my computer. But what's so awesome about this USB, when I show you all the inside of the Geshelli J2, you're going to see this is completely encapsulated. It's got really good shielding all the way around it, so there's no interruption with radio frequencies. I think that is awesome. Geshelli, you getting me pumped up. But over here on the Denefrips, you see we have a main power toggle switch. And we have where you can switch the fuses out in case one is blown. I have blown 2 fuses with the Denefrips Ares2. I don't even know how I did it. But here's the fuses I bought for it. See, it says Denefrips on the front. Let me show you all the real true fuses you should use. And these are it. I did order them off Amazon. And then over here on the end, we have a power IEC inlet. And it is 3 prongs. I love that it's 3 prongs because it has a huge power supply already built inside, which up here on the Geshelli J2 you have your barrel connector, and it is a switching power supply. And you can upgrade the 12-volt power supply, but I would highly recommend that you contact Geshelli Labs before you do that because you don't want to burn up the DAC. I know iFi Audio makes a really good 12-volt power supply, and Burson Audio makes a very good one. So if you do want to upgrade the power supply, you can do it with the Geshelli J2, which the Denefrips, you're stuck with its power supply. But let me tell you all something. The power supply built in the Denefrips Ares2 is pretty kick-ass. So now, let's just go ahead and open them up both up so we can take a deeper dive inside. Okay, you all know I had to open them both up for you. And you can see the Denefrips Ares2 is pretty big. It's got this nice power supply inside. Here's our main transformer. It does look of very good quality. And here's your actual power supply. Look how many capacitors Denefrips used in the Ares2. And that really will help with, you know, what they call ripple effect. And here's our resistor ladder here. Our resistors in parallel. And then let me give you all a closer up look. We're going to freestyle this, so bear with me. But if you look up here in the output stage, here's our 2 clocks down here on the bottom. Let's get that in better for y'all. Right here is those very 2 small clocks, 44.1 and probably 48. But if we look over here in the output of the Denefrips, y'all, sorry about that, there is no op amps in the output. So this is, when it comes to ohms, putting out 1,250 ohms through the output, which is okay for music. But if you're watching movies or playing video games, you will have latency problems. We do have some nice WEMA caps in here as well. Now let's go over and take a look at the J2. So here we are with the J2. Remember I was telling y'all about that USB being completely encapsulated. That's awesome to see. And look at these good sized clocks we have up here with the USB as well. Now I'm going to turn a little bit of light on so you all can see that I did get the AKM 4499 DAC chip that was sent to me. I am using Burson Audio V7i op amps. These were my favorite. They got awesome aluminum all the way around it for shielding, and it works as a heat sink. Like if you're playing this DAC for a long time and you want to roll op amps, wait until these cool off a little bit because they really are going to warm up. And we have a nice Rubicon capacitor inside here. But yes, this is the inside of the J2. Man, I love this J2 DAC, y'all. And I do love the Denefrips Ares2. I would call it a legend. It really is a legend R2R DAC. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about with y'all is, yes, I did prefer the V7i over the Sparco's SS3602, but this Sparco is still an outstanding op amp. You know, it's just really fun to be able to roll to see which one sounds best in your system. And also over here, I used the JRC, Japanese Radio Company 5532s, but the free op amps that actually come with the DAC by Texas Instrument, they're probably some kind of Burr Brown implementation because Texas Instruments did buy out Burr Brown. These are actually, I liked them better than I did the JRC 5532. And if you don't have a system that's like really revealing, you might not even hear the difference from a Burson to the, the regular free op amps that come with the J2. But it is a lot of fun op amp rolling, you all. And that pretty much wraps it up for me, you all. Until next time, this is TJ, the Stereo-Bargainphile. Keep on rolling, baby. Alright. You all, I almost forgot another really cool feature with the J2. If you push the button real fast, it does have a light emitting diode inside. That is pretty cool, but me, I prefer to leave it off.